Well, um, I don't want to say all, or maybe not even virtually all, but the vast majority of job growth since, gosh, I don't have the year in front of me, but let's just say in recent years has gone to immigrants.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yep.
So, yeah, again, I know we've talked about it before, but it bears repeating because, the nonsense that comes out of the administration, that comes out of Barack Obama's mouth. Of course, every time he opens his mouth, nonsense comes out. But it just needs to be refuted. And of course, no one is ever going to do that on, network news at CNN, New York Times, LA Times, Washington Post, but it's reality, and this is why people they're like you said, man. There's such a huge disconnect between what people are feeling and the stuff that they say.
Right. And I love that this, two things I love about it. Number one is I love that the guy called it out like this, although I know I've written at least three different articles in the last year that make reference to this, and I know you have as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I also love that, you go to Facebook, press your homepage, and that right there is shown as one of the top three stories trending across the country right now.
Which is awesome because and I don't want to connect it to American Sniper, but as we said about American Sniper, if this movie did not connect with dare I say, real Americans, it wouldn't be setting record after record, and is exactly the case with this topic. If it did not connect, it would not be trending as it is.
Right. And, I suppose I could be a little critical and go, gosh, how could people not get this? But that's a different conversation. The reality is that people are maybe people are starting to get this, Miller.
We hope so. We hope so.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest. I mean, there are Rush talks about low information voters all the time, and he primarily refers to the left. There are low information voters on both sides. And that is not to say, by the way, that low information equals stupid. It just means some people don't know what they don't know, and sometimes because they don't even want to know, right? So, one would hope, to your point, that more and more people, as you said, are starting to get it.
Yep, exactly.
Speaking of getting it, I don't get it. He said with a wink and a nod, Obama's budget this year. Well,
No way! I thought this was a joke.
well, no, I mean, so record tax revenue this year. We've talked about that before, and that's happened previous to this quarter. What is it going to be? Almost $3.2 trillion in tax revenue. But White House saying now the deficit. I'm sorry, deficit going to increase by 20% despite the record revenue, dude.
Well, it's to kind of reuse a phrase. It's the spending stupid.
Okay, so see, I don't get it because I'm thinking if you again wink, I'm thinking if you keep bringing in more and more money, then why can't you balance your checkbook, man?
Well, because there's two sides to that particular ledger, Mike. I'm really glad you asked me that question. I can explain how it works. There's the income side, at which point we are now higher, more revenue than it's ever been.
Okay.
But then on the other side is the spending. So you got money coming in and you've got money coming out. So money coming in is at a record pace. However, we continue to spend even more, and that's how the deficits continue.
All right, so let me make sure I understand. So, like, if I get a raise, right? I have a regular job somewhere, and I get a raise, $5,000 raise for the year. But then if I write checks that are in excess of $10,000 for that year versus last year, then you're saying I'm going to run a deficit in my checkbook?
That's exactly right. Even though you'll have more money coming in, your increased spending will more than offset the positive gains that you made on the income side.
Okay, I get it now.
Now this is kind of checkbook 101, and apparently nobody in DC understands that. I mean, one of the most horrific things to do ever is to just go back a few years and look at what the federal government spent and compared it to the revenue now. Do you realize how few years we have to go back at which point that the revenues that we're making right now are far sufficient to cover 100% of everything the government does?
Please tell us.
It's just a few years.
I know.
I mean, go back. I mean, everybody talks about not everybody, but on the left side, you hear talking about the Clinton years and things were so good.
Mm.
The size of the federal government back then was I don't know, half, something like that, of what it is right now.
Oh, at least.
I mean, we wouldn't need anywhere near the revenues to support the federal government if we go back to William Jefferson Blythe's budget.
Well, hell, just look at welfare. But yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, when I started laughing when you were first mentioning the budget, because there was that other one you sent me about
Well, see, exactly right, dude. Because
the question is, where does all the money go?
Well,
what there is with it.
Yeah, and you know what? When I started this, I thought Hausum thinks I'm going there first.
I did. But, that's when I started laughing.
Well, see, and thank God, dude, there is, with even the increased deficit, there is at least $20 million being allocated for climate change resilience toolkits.
Isn't that stunning? Climate change resilience toolkits.
I mean, we can't say that enough times for that to sink in. Climate change resilience toolkits. That is priceless.
I can just imagine the process that you had to go through to be a supplier to that program. My guess would be it involved a significant number of lobbyists and dinners and off-the-books trips to the Cayman Islands. Somebody is making a mint off of providing the federal government climate change resilience toolkits. Don't you think, Mike?
Exactly. We'll try to figure out in a minute what they are, but just they being, again, climate change resilience toolkits. Can't say it enough. They are, among other things, $4 million to, quote, better understand violent extremism. Let me do a spoiler on that without even knowing what that is. It's nothing to do with Islam, okay? I can pretty much guarantee that. $66 billion for universal preschool, and $20 million again for these kids. And this is part of his investing in America's future. By the way, dude, I just love how Democrats call deficit spending investing. I love that every time I see it.
It is. There's a website, Mike, toolkit.climate.gov. That is. Oh my gosh, dude, this is just unbelievable.
So what the hell are they? I don't know, because the article I linked you to didn't say what they are.
Well, it's a. Let me see if there's a. It's a bunch of training courses and a bunch of online. Let's see here. Every community and business faces risk of climate-related disruptions to their operations. For some, it's not a question of if, but when disruptions will occur. Anticipating potential problems and preparing to prevent or respond to them can make it easier to bounce back from disruptions. The risk, potential for consequence when something of value may be partly or completely damaged or lost. There's no single approach to building climate resilience. The 5-step process presented here outlines a workflow that was developed through research and refined through practice. Communities and businesses across the nation are already using these steps to confront their climate vulnerabilities and build resilience, and you can too. Visit Taking Action section to learn how other Americans are using this process to address climate-related problems. You can explore tools for displaying and analyzing climate data and consider a range of funding opportunities, there you go, that can help you build resilience or recover from a climate-related event. Um,
God.
the
I mean,
U.S. Climate Resilience Toolkit.
see, there's nobody better than liberals at coming up with buzz terms and buzz phrases. We've talked about this before. I mean, it goes, Bush's tax cuts for the rich and fair share, and on and on and on. Climate resilience. That's brilliant. I mean, that is just absolutely nuttily brilliant.
Right. Examples. Potential a hazard. There's a glossary and then an example. Like under the word hazard, an example is extended periods of excessive heat are likely to be an increasingly common hazard in the coming decades. So your business and your home should have an action plan in order to respond resiliently to the effect of increased heat.
Otherwise known as droughts and the dust bowls of the early 20th century.
Okay, well, they actually talk about droughts as well. It can be a climate stressor for florists and crops. What are you going to do? Risk. Warehouses on floodplains represent a higher risk for flooding than where filled with products than when they're empty. You've got climate projections and gases. I'm not sure why there isn't a requirement for every single business to have a staffer that's focused on processing that particular business's application under the U.S. Climate Resilience Toolkit, and then submit their plan of action to the federal government for review.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, we talked before, and I have to paraphrase, but Goebbels, under Hitler, you tell a big lie long enough or whatever he said, and people will believe it. This is what they do. And that's what's going on here. And it's just hilarious to me. I mean, it has reached a level of hilarity to me.
There are training courses.
Of course. Well, dude, I mean, when they first were writing it, they said there will be indoctrination, and then the training courses. So
the training courses here can help you acquire the tools, skills, and knowledge to manage your climate-related risks and opportunities. All courses are free of charge and offered in at least one of three formats: online audio-visual, which is online self-guided, training webinars, and residence training courses, online instructor-led. Each training module is accompanied with a test to help you evaluate your knowledge. These courses feature scientific information adapted from authoritative sources, prepared by recognized subject matter experts. The courses have been pilot tested with users and other subject matter experts and may be updated periodically as needed. So I think that one of the things that we need to do is we need to have an agency evaluating if companies are up to date. If, for example, your drought resiliency plan is not updated with the most current training module, would there be a
forward by Al Gore? I mean, come on.
Would there be fines involved?
Maybe they would start. It's kind of like throwing your food in the garbage. Maybe they would just start by trying to shame companies. They would put some big red scarlet letter tag on the front door of the company. This is just, do you think, I mean, I know we got a couple of minutes left before the top of the hour, but do you think, which I do, sometime down the road, I don't know how long, 50 years maybe, less, that this whole nonsense about global warming, of course it's called climate change now, as we know, because then anything can happen, right? Freezing, heat. Do you think it's going to be looked back at as silly as looking back to the 70s when Time magazine had the cover about global freezing? I mean, I do.
Mike, I think I'm going to have to resign. That kind of question, I'm not sure I can continue with the level of cynicism you're showing. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to go through the toolkit to figure out what resiliency plans the right Mike's needs, and here you are questioning the existence of the thing to begin with.
Well, see, there you go, and that's why, I sometimes it escapes me that you do live in California, so you're probably looking at this thing thinking, dude, I mean, we got to protect our show, so we're gonna have to get on board with this.
Stunning. And I can't even believe they only put aside $20 million for
I
resiliency.
know it should have been 2 billion. We're done, man. Take us out.
So this is the right mics evaluating our resiliency programs as a result of climate change. We'll be back to discuss that in much further detail with Victoria Taft, because I'm sure she's on board as well. This is Michael Hausum for Mike Miller, and we'll be right back.